review, start the recording. Welcome to Collaboration Conversations. I'm your host, Regina Partain Bergman, CEO of Bridgeport Strategy and co-founder of the CEO Holy Grail. Folks, as I always say on this show, it's live, it's raw, it's real. We're working with some new software today. Give us a little grace as we learn some of the new tricks of this software. But I am delighted to introduce our guest co host today, who is Sam Bragg. And I recently met Sam and was very impressed with this young man and felt we had to have him on the show as a guest co host. And he graciously agreed to do so. Some of the things I love about Sam is fresh thinking. This is right from his LinkedIn. He funds your client acquisitions and does the heavy lifting himself. Whoa, who doesn't want that, right? Sam, welcome to the show. So glad that you're here as our guest co-host today.
Thanks, Regina. Yeah, it's genuinely an honor to be here, and I think this is going to be a fun session.
I sure hope so. One of my two goals with this show is that it should be fun for everybody who's doing it, and for those who are listening, they should enjoy it, and it should make a difference in the world. We should be able to change somebody's thinking in terms of how collaborating makes a difference. Collaboration instead of competition. Sam, would you please tell us a bit about yourself, a little bit about your journey getting to this place, and who you serve, and why that's important to you?
Yeah, everyone that I've met on this panel has been through some kind of collaboration, some kind of networking event that we've been to. I thought these guys would be ideal panelists for today. As you said, me and my team, we partner with visionary creators to generate cash influxes from their underutilized digital assets that they're not even using anymore, email lists, customer databases, online communities, even their content. And it's been quite a long road for me to get to this point. I got started in business when I was probably about 10 or 11 years old. And I built my first computer with the help of a family friend. And I was just a real techie, a real nerd. I think my parents were probably a little bit worried about me because I wasn't spending too much time outside. I was just preferred to the computer, breaking things, fixing them, breaking things, fixing them. And I just got sort of known, as you do with my friends and family, as being like the techie. So as technology became more and more prevalent in our lives, people were calling me up and people were asking for help with their computers. Then latterly, they had the smartphones and tablets and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I really got started in business as a young lad. And from there, I kind of progressed into working with businesses more so than individuals. I was helping them with websites and yeah, building lots of websites for people. And actually, the next question they were going to ask me is, well, okay, we have this great website now. How do I actually get people to look at it? Because on the web, just because you built it doesn't mean people are going to ever come. So the next thing was, okay, well, I guess I could learn how to bring people to your website. And so I learned about Google ads, Facebook ads. I learned all about online marketing. And that's been like a passion and an obsession of mine for the last 15, maybe even 20 years. And so I've been doing that for a long time, been very immersed in the marketing world, got a bit sort of disillusioned with that whole world just because I started working for an agency and I just got really bummed out with agency life because it was just very, very demanding for not that much reward. And I felt like I was having way more impact than I was given credit for. And I knew I could do more if I went out on my own and did something on my own. So that's kind of where I arrived at with fresh thinking. Its kind of most current iteration is actually forming partnerships with people, not having clients necessarily, but actually having partners, people that I can partner with for the long term, where we're both sat on the same sides of the table. And it's not like a traditional service delivery model. It's we're business partners. And so your wins are my wins and vice versa. So what that means for me is that we fund, like you said, Regina, we fund the client acquisition, we create the high converting copy, we generate the leads, we do all the heavy lifting on the campaign, and we even help you close sales alongside your own team or on our own if you don't have a team. What that means for our partners is they keep running their programs, and we just focus on filling it with qualified paying clients. So that's a short synopsis of kind of what's taken me up to this point today.
Excellent. Love it. Thank you, Sam. And you have brought with you a panel of gentlemen today to share in this conversation. Would you please introduce each of them, have them tell a bit about their story, their journey getting here, and who they serve and why?
Absolutely, yeah. So just for the record, I did try to invite some ladies, but they weren't able to make it. So I just want the record to be known that I was trying to mix it up a bit. But anyway, first of all, we have Rob Hemsley, and we met through LinkedIn. Actually, he's a done for you LinkedIn lead generation machine, a business development and sales expert. He hosts his own training boot camps, and he does his own BD and sales coaching. And so, yeah, sorry, Rob, if I hopefully that's done you justice there.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sam and Regina. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. I've been in business development a long, long time, 25 years or so, and started out within the recruitment sector actually. And the roles that I took on a lot of the time were blank sheet of paper type scenarios. Go and find the clients, go and build the relationships, try and generate the work, try and generate the revenue. And so that just was a theme throughout the entire period, really, in different roles, different businesses, and different industries. So I did quite a lot of work with large accounts. I had some small clients, very mixed industries. Biggest success, I think, as an example, I suppose, is starting with a major defense contractor in Europe. Actually, it was based in Germany and France. I was in the UK. I made a single phone call and then developed the account from there. Very inquisitive from my side. I like the detective element of business development sometimes, trying to find the ways, what's out there, doing the investigation. And 18 months later, I'd built tons of relationships. I'd built the account into 3 major sites in Germany, and it was worth around 3 million euros turnover. From scratch, that was a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it was fantastic in terms of the relationship build and the whole process. So what I do these days is exactly what Sam said. I do lead generation for people, really. I do the front end, the legwork, the donkey work, shall we say? Yeah, at the front end. So I do direct message prospecting on LinkedIn. I do email. I use email as well to an extent, but I prefer to work with LinkedIn. I use techniques like strategic commenting on LinkedIn and other methods as well to harness engagement with my clients' target audiences. And the training boot camps are around the same theme, business development. So it's trying to help people with their business development and sales techniques, soft skills, strategy, planning, goal setting, all different things. And again, latest one I've done is sales calls, everything you need to know. So it's kind of a sales prospect calls, whether it's on Zoom, Teams, or phone, or whatever it is, everything you need to know from start to finish. So closing techniques, questioning techniques, just everything, tonality, etc., etc. So it's all really focused around business development, and a bit like Sam said earlier, taking the weight out of the work. I do it for people, so I do the lead gen work for them. So it's a done for you service, so they can get on with the day job and get on with with delivering their work for their business, and they leave me to it. I use my experience to try and generate opportunities for them and help them to move that forward and hopefully turn that into revenue. So that's me.
Excellent.
Cool. Thank you, Rob. And so next on my list, this is in no particular order, but we have Parker, who is a procurement and supply chain strategist, an operations streamliner, a supply chain technology advocate, and logistics optimization expert. And we met on Pantheon, didn't we, Parker, on the
Yeah.
networking calls that we do on a weekly basis. So yeah, great to see you in here, buddy.
Yeah. What I do, like everybody here, I'm sure, is very complicated and very niche. I speak Mandarin Chinese. I mostly work with CPG brands, so consumer product goods. There's a physical product that they are importing from Asia. I usually help them find the right partners with factories, price negotiate, make sure that they have good payment terms, help them with their logistics, and really just overall save them money. That's what I'm all about, especially during these crazy times. Ever since I was young, like Sam, I've been working with my dad on different businesses and also doing my own thing. And one thing that always frustrated me, especially growing up in America, is you hear about the American dream, but most businesses in America fail. And it's because their profit margins suck. And that's one of the things that I love being able to help companies with is I love, like Regina said, being a collaborator and working with people and finding out where those pain points are. And then any way that I can help it, even if it's not my specialty and, sourcing a factory, if they need their logistics figured out, I'm here to help. If they need the right tech stack when it comes to a supply chain perspective and implementing an ERP, I'm here to help. whatever it takes to make it from an operations standpoint run better. That's what I'm here for. I want them to succeed, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make that happen.
Very cool. Yeah, I should have said ni hao. Is that right?
I'm actually from Idaho. We say ni howdy up here.
That's a nice touch. I like that. Cool. And then next up we have Rion. So Rion helps SMB owners and leaders build a repeatable, predictable revenue. He helps fix operational chaos, unreliable revenue, scaling with zero clarity, and team accountability gaps. And again, Rion, we've met through our networking. We've also been working together quite closely. He's been helping me with my business, and we've been making some real breakthroughs. So thanks for joining us today, Rion.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here, Sam. And as you mentioned, pleasure to be working there with you too. I noticed some of the verbiage you used actually incorporated some of the things we were working on. So awesome. Well done.
I'm doing it.
By simply, my business, we hunt revenue patterns that expedite scalable growth. And that's really what we do. We go into it, as Parker said. I know, Regina, you're looking for kind of a common theme, and maybe this is part of it, but he said most businesses fail. And if you look across the SMB spectrum, that number's 96% approaching 97% within 5 years. So you have a 3 to 4% chance of actually being successful. And if you don't understand the various revenue patterns within your own business, yeah, you are going to fail. You are going to pull it. A little bit about my background. I am a mechanical engineer and I work Department of Defense. That's where I cut my teeth. I went into EPCM, engineering, procurement, construction management for large industrial facilities. And then I ran international business development for an international firm for similar industrial facilities. And in that case, I got to travel the world. I worked in about 15 different countries, and I would go in and I would do these cold audits and evaluations on these facilities. And that's where I developed really a process that is now I've coined as the own your revenue process, where you're taking into context all of the various variables within your SMB, within your own business, for those revenue leaks, those revenue gaps, and such. So that's what I do, and that's what I'm here for.
Excellent. Welcome, gentlemen. So glad you're here. And we had Douglas here. He evidently had to drop off. So not sure if he's going to make it back in or not. But if he makes it back in, we'll have him introduce himself as well. So I love that you all have a heart for collaboration, which I'm sure is one of the reasons Sam invited you all to be panelists today. Let's start off with just some of the benefits that you have seen in your own business as a result of collaborating, just to get a broader view of how it impacts you to collaborate with others. What are some of the things that you've seen in your own business or in your own life as a result of collaboration? And feel free to just jump in and share, guys.
Yeah, I have a quick story actually that I could tell.
Please.
Before I do that though, Doug is trying to get in, I think. So if you can just check
Okay.
that, Regina.
I'll keep an eye on him. He's not showing up yet.
Okay.
But I'll
I'm
keep an
trying
eye out for
to
him.
WhatsApp him at the
There
same
he
time
is.
as
There
okay.
he is. He made it. Awesome. So we'll hold that question for a moment and we'll let you introduce Doug. Okay.
All right.
Hey, Doug, welcome. We're glad you made it.
Thank you.
Timing actually couldn't be better, Doug. Let me just introduce you to everyone that's watching. Doug here is the co-founder of the Dave Clark Foundation, and he organizes and hosts the Disability Dream and Do events. And at those events, they champion exclusivity by organizing sports events for youth with disabilities, which is just such an amazing cause, offering experiences alongside pro athletes. So, Doug, what you do is some amazing work. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that.
Sure. And I'm just coming off a weekend where we just did one of our biggest events ever. So we had 100+ children and young adults with all different challenges, disabilities, wheelchairs, missing limbs, Down syndrome, you name it, children and young adults on the spectrum. And so I'm still kind of unwinding from that. It takes me actually a couple of days to unwind. And of course, we smashed my computer screen in the midst of it all. So that is supposedly on its way here, but all for the joy of what we do. But it really is amazing. I mean, we create moments of magic, is what a mother said to us one time years ago at one of our events. And there's so many of these moments. I can't even describe them all, but it can be as little as a boy in a walker, a young man in a walker catching a ball that's thrown to him 2 feet away, and it's like he won the World Series because it was the first time he'd ever caught a ball. From that to another moment that I remember vividly because we were just at the same stadium is that there's a bigger gentleman that young man that has come to our camps, and he's on the spectrum and a little challenged intellectually, but still could hit a ball. And we do what's called a high five game at the end of our camps, and we line up all the pro athletes and some of the volunteers depending on the situation, and we put like a smaller, almost like a wiffle ball size field. I know I'm talking to some folks from Europe, so I don't know if any of this makes sense, but just a small field. But we use soft equipment so the ball will still fly over this home run fence, that pros hit their home runs over. And this young man got up to bat. They only really get one shot at this. If they hit the ball 2 inches, we're cheering for them, and they're going around high-fiving all these young pro players. If they hit the ball, wherever. But this moment was just set up. There was so much energy in this particular camp, and this young man wound up hitting a home run over the fence. He just connected. It was on the big video because the video was following him as well. And all of these young pro players impromptly, without instruction, wound up what's doing like a home run pat. So he's rounding the bases, and all of these young men, and I say all of them, probably 10, 15 of them, were just literally pouncing on this guy, giving him high fives, pouncing on his shoulder, celebrating his victory with him. I looked over to his mother, and she was completely beside herself. She couldn't even contain herself because of this moment that happened for her son. And so that's kind of gives you a little feel of what we do, but there is so much more. And I get to present to my two Daves, as I call them. I can't have one Dave, I have two Daves. My business partner, Dave, most people are never familiar with his story until I tell it, even though he's won awards at the White House. He's been the Heroes of Sports Award winner, a Bo Jackson Courage Award winner, Hall of Fame award winners at his colleges in local town. But he's a polio survivor, and he's never walked without crutches or braces. And he dreamed just like every child did back in the 60s and 70s. He wanted to play professional baseball. And he started dreaming about that. And the difference is he actually started putting his action to those dreams. And it's why we call our camps Disability Dream and Do, because he says there's two types of dreamers. There's dreamers that dream, and there's dreamers that dream and do. And that's in regardless of our walks of life. But he was actually a doer. And he put his practice in. He worked out 5 hours a day, 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. He ran 5 miles a day on his crutches. He threw up against the wall, threw bullpen practices, whatever he could do to perfect what is called the knuckleball. It's a special pitch that's very hard to develop, but you throw it with your fingertips, your knuckles, and it doesn't spin, so it floats, because he couldn't generate the power at 5'2" without the use of his legs. He had to think differently. And well, this got him a pro contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates years later as a 17, 18-year-old. And then he wound up parlaying that to a 10-year career of pitching in our professional ranks here in this country off his crutches, from his crutches. And then he took that further when he couldn't pitch anymore. He wound up buying a team, played first base for that team for a little while. And then he went into coaching, managing, owning, and scouting at every level of baseball, including Olympic coach, all at 5'2" on crutches. So I get to present that Dave. And then, as it would be, a few years later, we got another Dave Stevens, who's equally as incredible story. He was born with no legs. He was a three-sport athlete, and he wrestled in high school and college. He played football and baseball in high school and college. He was a two-time state champion wrestler. And then he got to play for a short contract with the St. Paul Saints at the pro level. And his story, though, is he took his sports dreams another direction, and he got into the TV world, and he worked for ESPN for 20 years, and he's a 7-time Emmy Award winner. And they don't give those out just because you have good looks or no legs. He earned those 7 Emmys, and so I get to present these two men and other connections that we have at certain times to families that are feeling like, you know what, my child's not going to be able to do anything. And we have examples where we just tell you that's not true. Let them explore their potential and let them figure out where they might be able to go and see how high they can go and take their dreams. So that's what I do.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, so Doug, we were just getting ready to start our discussion about collaboration, and your story made me change the question a bit. So, guys, I'm going to give you the question again, but slightly differently. So, how has the first part is the same? How's your own business or your life benefited from collaboration? Or how have you seen others benefit from collaboration? And just feel free to dive in and share your
Yeah, that's
thoughts.
Doug's a bit of a tough act to follow, isn't he? But
He is, isn't he, though?
I'm gonna attempt to do it. So following on from what I was saying earlier about my own personal journey, just a few months ago, I had no network, I had no audience, I had no partnership deals to my name. I was still working that 9 to 5 agency job that I wasn't really enjoying. But then I discovered a bit of a game changer for me, and this is probably reinventing the wheel, but finding niche online communities. And so I made a decision that kind of fast tracked everything for me now. I started showing up consistently to those places. I went on live Zoom calls like this religiously, started showing up at in person meetups across the UK whenever I could, asking better questions, introducing myself the right way, listening to people more than I was kind of pitching. And I brought my personality and some fun, or tried to bring to everything that I was part of. And before I knew it, those conversations that I was having were turning into collaborations, and those collaborations were turning into partnership deals. And so my first 5 partnership deals actually came directly from people I met inside online communities, just by being present, intentional, and just adding value without kind of expecting anything in return. In fact, the 3 of those 5 people that they actually approached me wanted to work with me. So to anyone who's watching this, maybe they're thinking like, "Oh, I don't have a network, I don't know anyone." Real connection kind of beats the cold outreach approach every time. If you're forming those connections with people, deals are going to happen in conversations, and credibility is going to be earned by just you showing up consistently and just bringing your personality. I think most people are too passive with their relationships and showing up to these like online communities, these networking events. But I think even just showing up puts you like in the top 5% of everyone else, because most people don't do anything. And so those deals that I managed to secure have turned into massive win-win partnerships for me and my partners, and gave me leverage and credibility, and most importantly for me was momentum as well. And so it all started inside these online communities. So that's an area where it's taken me a long time to see the value of collaboration, but I'm like a total convert now. And it got to a point where it kind of became undeniable. I'd see people around me with these really strong networks who are having all this success, and I'm like, well, what do they have that I don't? Well, looking at it, it's probably the network, right? It's probably those relationships. And this probably harks back to a time when I was sitting in front of a computer, wasn't necessarily going outside very much, wasn't hanging out with my friends very much. And so it's been a long road, but I feel like I've done a shift now, and I've managed to go back towards some sort of middle ground between those polar opposites.
One of the things I love about what you said that I think is really important for us all to take note of is that you talked about bring your own personality, bring your personality into it. It's not just a business conversation. This is a people to people conversation or person to person conversation, right? And the more you bring the real you, the greater the trust you engender in that relationship, right? Rob, I see you nodding your head. What would you like to add?
Yeah, exactly that. You're right, Regina, and exactly what Sam said. Really, I think it was early 2024, probably, where collaboration was really a buzzword at the time. It started coming out a lot, especially across LinkedIn and other platforms. Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. You could see it everywhere. Currently, it's things like personal branding is the big term of the day, which I'm sure you've all seen. But collaboration was a big thing, especially amongst SMEs, smaller businesses. And that carried on throughout the year last year, and it's definitely there still now. So I've joined a few online networking groups in recent times, and there's a lot of collaboration going on between small businesses in the groups. It's really, really good. Also, I've seen a lot more people perhaps with that how can I help mentality, which is great. I'm a massive believer in that. So I'd rather go into a networking event, for example, and say, how can I help you? What are you looking for? And I put a post out on LinkedIn last year, at least 12 months ago, and I said, I know good people, really good people in all these industries. There must have been 35 industries on the list. I thought I could go on, but I just wrote them down. manufacturing, industrial, accountancy, blah, 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 whatever. 35 or so. And I said, if anybody needs really good contacts in these industries, just ask. Just ask. And nobody ever asks. It's incredible. It's like, just ask. Just talk to each other and ask. We're all in the network, so why not ask? But there are more people now collaborating. Just joined a networking group recently online. A lot of collaboration going on, a lot of helpfulness from the group, a lot of one-to-ones between people, really supportive community, which is great. And so I'm seeing a lot of collaboration in my own business, and I see the benefit in two ways. One is we can help each other out because I'm here on my own and I can't do it all. So collaboration is everything. My accountants or this, collaboration with Sam, collaboration with good people of similar values is huge for me. But also I see it in that referral network. It's massive for referral network. So collaborate well with people and build good relationships. And it'll come round where people say, well, actually, I know somebody that can help you. Go and have a chat with Rob. Here's an introduction. So I made introductions to a chap the other day through LinkedIn to 3 people that I know. In fact, 4 people. They're having one-to-ones now. Go on, guys, go and talk. Collaboration. So it's huge for me, collaboration in terms of within my own business and also my network and just as a way of doing business, really.
Excellent. And I'm really glad you brought up the part about the mindset. What mindset do you have to have when you're thinking about collaboration? Rion, you had something to add there?
Oh, you asked what effect has it had on our lives? I mean, I look back,
Yeah.
I had almost a 10-year contract because an associate of mine who owned a business, he had another client that just came in to buy some of his product, and they got to chatting, and he said, well, what do you do for work? He says, well, I'm in the mining. He says, well, I know someone else who's in the mining. Maybe I had to connect you. And he connected me with him. I got connected with his boss. And then all of a sudden there was this relationship born that went about 10 years. And so when it comes to collaboration, I mean, opening your mouth, talking with people, if you look across your schedule and you don't have time where you're just visiting with people or finding new people, then collaboration is really, really important for just as amen to what Sam and Rob have said about just networking opportunities. If you don't collaborate, you're going to miss out on those opportunities.
Yeah. And again, coming back to what you just said, what Rob said, what Sam has said, that mentality of what can I give, not what can I get, right? Coming into it with how can I help you as opposed to what can you do for me? Parker, what would you like to add?
Lots of thoughts swimming in this brain right now.
I can see that.
I feel like I don't know. Growing up, I've always appreciated authenticity with people. That's always been a common thread in my life that life is too short to spend time with people that aren't real, aren't authentic, aren't genuine. And I feel that same way in networking events. Going to networking events, you can very clearly tell who are the genuine people that just want to be there to help and the people who are just there to tap into your network. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to tap into somebody's network, in my opinion. That's like the whole point of collaboration. But if you're not coming with value first and I'm here to help you, then we might not work well together long term. And I was working with a client last night and she just made the offhand comment. She's like, Parker, you know everybody. And I wanted to respond by saying, I don't know everybody. I just know the right people.
Oh, nice.
Because in all honesty, like I don't want to know everybody.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very exhausting life. But knowing the right people is very crucial for your partnerships. And so I'm all about collaboration. I know what I can really excel in, and I know what stuff you could get a dime a dozen for. And I'll find you the one that's the most genuine, the one that's going to take the best care of you. But that's just not something for me. And so I think that going back to what Sam was saying is that bringing your authentic self. I was networking with somebody the other day and they were like, hey, I'm going to send you some big movers and shakers, of which I hate that word. I hate that phrase. It's the worst. And I was like, okay, I'm happy to talk to them. And he's like, and if you could just like on those calls, just try to carry yourself with a little bit more professionalism. And I I just laughed inside my head because I didn't want to like offend this guy, but I was like, I'm the kind of person where I'm going to joke around, I'm going to have a good time, but then when it gets down to business, we're going to talk business. And if my results don't speak enough for themselves that they can't get over my personality, then, maybe we're not right for each other. Ever since I've been young, I've always enjoyed having fun while working on projects. I don't want to make work drudgery. And so I think that just like how we all have that BS indicator in our brain of whether or not somebody's being honest or whether or not somebody's being genuine, everybody else has it too, right? And so why not just bring your authentic self, be there to help, be there to care, be there to collaborate?
Right.
And as you listen, you might not be the right person, but as you find a group of network of people that are all collaborating, I'm gonna send some business to Rob, I'm gonna send some business to Sam, I'm gonna send some business to Ryan, I'm gonna send some business to Doug. And pretty soon they're gonna be talking with people and they're gonna be sending my way too. And that's really what I've found is that as you bring your most authentic self, you're gonna be the person that they remember when that conversation has.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. I want people to remember me for me and not me for what I do. Now that's part of who I am, but I want them to remember me for me.
They should connect to you. This is who I am. Right.
I'd like to read just a real experience. I got a text. This is 8 days ago, so Tuesday, August 12th, and the gentleman I'm working with, he has a company that's got about 100 employees. They're doing about 40 million a year ish, and he says we just can't seem to turn things around at the moment. He says I'm personally at a very low point right now and trying desperately to keep positive, but I've never been in such a tough position. I'm simply running out of ideas. He says we need to make some major change in how we operate ASAP. And I got a little bit of emotional, obviously, with that. Me personally, I'm on my 9th company, right? And I've had partnerships, I've had private equity, I've had families, I've had solos, and I could read between those lines at what he's, when you're the entrepreneur and you can't pay your own bills and you're just trying to pay someone else's bills,
Yeah.
i.e., your employees and things like. I mean, it's hell. It really is.
It is.
And so, we sat here and I had a conversation with him. I actually had a conversation with Sam yesterday morning, and it was a great conversation. Right after that, I had a meeting with him, and we continued with some of my processes we were going through. But at the beginning of the meeting with him, I said, Jeff, I want you to know that we love you and that we're praying for you. I said, I've got 4 kids, but I said specifically my 13-year-old and my 10-year-old. He says, I've told them about you. And well, we believe in the power of prayer. We believe in helping our clients however way we can, even if there's nothing we can do physically or something like that, we can help you in prayer. So these 2 boys have been praying specifically every morning, every night. We're praying
Wow.
for Jeff and his business, praying for Jeff. I don't think they even understand what Jeff does, but they're praying for him. And I was sharing with Jeff this experience, and he said the last week or 2, things have started turning. He says, I can't really explain it. Things have started happening. He says, I can't. But anyways, to Parker's point, coming through and being genuine with people and understanding, hey, yeah, we've all been there. I mean, let's be genuine about it. And let's call a spade, and hey, if we got issues, let's work through them together. And that's what collaboration leads to, is pulling us out of those mires, pulling
Yeah.
us out of those deep spaces, and helping us become more.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you, Parker. Doug?
Well, collaboration is my middle name probably at this point, because with the events that I put on, we have to have volunteers, we have to have financing people, we have to have the team, all these connections that are so crucial. And I actually wrote a book about this. I'll tell a story since I'm a storyteller. Most of you don't know the story. So I told you a little bit about my business partner, and he was a polio survivor. All right. So you don't hear that very much anymore because he's 72 years old. Polio basically almost took his life as a 10-month-old. They told him he wouldn't live at one point, and then they said that it's likely that he's going to be a vegetable, which is the words they used back in those days. Then he would never be able to walk. He'd be bedridden his whole life. Well, he didn't become a vegetable, but he did lose the use of his legs, and he's always walked with crutches and braces. So that's the setting. So now he's mainstreamed in school as a 6-year-old, and he's going to first grade in a little school where my granddaughter goes now, right here in our little town of Corning, New York. And his first grade teacher, shortly into that year, announces a field trip where they're all going to walk 5 blocks away to the local fire hall.
Mm.
And of course, that's a nightmare for this young little boy. He's already being picked on. He knows he's different. He's feeling different, all of those things. And so he has 2 weeks to just dread this event coming. And so much so that when the day came, he tried to fake his mother out and say, Mom, I'm sick, and he's coughing and all those kind of things. And of course, she knew better, and she calls her old school, and she said, Dave, you are not sick. You're not going to be late. You're going to school. So he's off to school with all this anxiety building and building and building. And finally, the teacher calls the class to get in line, and Dave goes to the back of the line, thinking this is the worst day of his life. Unknown to him, when he gets to the line, a classmate of his named Ernie Pound had brought his radio flyer wagon to school to pull him. And
Wow.
Dave never forgot it. And so, if that's not collaboration, if that's not what we all need, and the thing is, I've shared this in a, we actually, there's more to this story because 45 years later, Dave in his book, it's called The Dave Clark Story, Diamond in the Rough, The Dave Clark Story, shared about his life of baseball and all this and stuff. But he did a chapter of the people that basically pulled him along, his saviors. And he shared that story I just shared with you. Now, I have a son that was born with no arms, and he was just a child at the time when this book came out. And I'd gotten to know Dave, and of course, every time I had actually had privy to the book before it was actually published, so I'd already read it, and I was rereading the book when I was helping him organize book signings. So I'm in my office, I'm rereading that book. I go to the phone book actually back then. That's how long ago this was, and I find an Ernst Pound living about 45 minutes away. And David always just known him as Ernie Pound. And so I have this awkward phone call. He comes to the phone and doesn't want to talk to me, but I told him I'm looking for an Ernie Pound that in first grade brought a radio flyer wagon to school to pull his classmate. And then the next words out of his mouth were, I remember the wagon. And I wound up convincing this man to come to a book signing completely unknown to Dave and found out that they had actually not seen each other since that first grade year. The family had left the area. They moved back 45 minutes away. He comes to the book signing and gets in line. He puts a book underneath Dave's nose and he says, sign this one to Ernie Pound. And of course, the emotions got lit. And Dave got extremely emotional. He gets emotional every time he tells a story, even to this day. And so when we're talking about collaboration, we're talking about pulling each other along. And that's one of our major themes in what we do. And it's also one of the reasons I met Sam at a networking event that I'm very involved in. And it's collaborating, it's getting our stories out there, it's making these connections. But it's not just me, like you said, it's not just me saying, hey, sponsor us and help us here, this and that, all those kind of things. I'm very diligent. I can't help everybody, but I'm trying to be very diligent to say, where can I help this person? This person makes sense for me. This person I can collaborate with. And then spreading that love out or inviting people to my networking events that I feel like are very profitable or very powerful. And so that's where this collaboration comes in, is that we pull each other along.
Yeah. We change lives. We change the world through collaboration. That's why I do this show, so that we get more of your ideas out there of how we change the world through collaboration. This world can be a challenging place, and through collaboration, we can make it better for all of us. So
For sure.
thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here. Sam, for inviting everyone. Sam, we're going to move into our wrap up round now. If you will call on each person for their final thoughts on collaboration and their contact information. Doug, if you'll pop your contact information into the private chat for me, I would appreciate that. You'll see that over on the right hand side. And Sam, don't forget to give your own as part of this, okay? Your own comments. So
Yeah,
take it away, Sam.
absolutely. Rob, love to hear from you, your final closing thoughts on this and where people can best reach you. I'm guessing it's LinkedIn, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I keep saying to people, if I go around with, I've got a business card that says the LinkedIn guy. So if I'm not on LinkedIn, there is a problem. In terms of collaboration, just a very, very quick one. I'm actually meeting somebody on Friday who I've met through networking. They have a great potential business in terms of it has great potential, but I think they need help with collaboration to make it go and make it grow. And it has phenomenal potential globally. So I've seen that opportunity, but I'm having a meeting with them about that collaboration angle, and it's all come from networking and so on and so forth. So it just continues, doesn't it? It continues every day and every week. Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. In terms of connection details, LinkedIn, absolutely, yeah. It's linkedin.com/in/Rob Hemsley. It's in the chat there. And email rob@hemsley.ltd, which is also on the LinkedIn websites there and so on. 2 websites. Don't know. There you go. 2 websites, 2 logos, 2 websites. Going for it, but we'll see what happens. That's me, and I hope to connect with you all, obviously, everybody on the call, and it'd be good to continue the conversation.
Excellent.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you also, Rion, for bringing your experience and your flavor to this. So, have you got any closing thoughts about collaboration, and where can people best get hold of you?
People can best get hold of me. My contact information similar. LinkedIn's a good spot. My email, which is posted here. Rion is actually spelled uniquely, Rion. So once you type in those names, you're going to be pretty limited on how many are out there. I'm easier to find once you spell it correctly, but I do agree 100% amen to what Rob is saying. Hey, just ask, right? I mean, ask. Most people are willing to help if they're asked. So yeah, pick up, write the email, send the note via LinkedIn, and just ask if you need some help. A lot of us have many contacts, and we're willing to share it. So just ask.
Well
Love
said.
it.
Well said. So over to you, Parker. Thanks for joining and bringing your characteristic warmth that I always enjoy whenever we chat. It'd be good to hear your closing thoughts and where people can best get hold of you.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's going to get pounded more going on a Doug and Sam afterwards, but LinkedIn's the best place to get me. It'll be posted here in the chat. And then also email. The best email to reach me at would be Parker Bennett, spelled just like on the screen, ParkerBennett, and then Triple P Consulting. It'll be in the chat. You guys can go there and get it at gmail.com. And then my final thoughts on collaborations is, I'm sure that all these guys will echo it. The best way to prove why you do what you do, and the best way to be authentic, is to look at who you are collaborating with. Doug collaborates with people who clearly align with his why. Sports, people who have disabilities. Rion aligns with people who align with his why of helping people with their revenue so that they can beat the odds by helping their profit margins. And then Rob helps people with their sales cycles because he feels like it needs to have that personal touch. And also same with Sam. And so the reason that I do what I do is I want to help young companies beat the odds. And so I choose to collaborate with small businesses and other people who want to help small businesses succeed. So if you want to be a better collaborator, really dial in on what your why is and why you do what you do. And once you know that, then go and collaborate with the right people. And all of a sudden you'll find that you're far more authentic than you used to be.
Love that.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Well put. Thank you. And Doug, yeah, you're a tough act to follow. Really, really pleased to have you join us today and some of the stories that you've been relating. And I'm sure you've got a ton more. If you haven't already done so, maybe you should write a book. But yeah, it'd be good to hear some closing thoughts from you also, and where people can to best get hold of you and learn more about what you do.
Yeah, probably for this call. My last name is Cornfield because somehow my last name didn't get put on here. But Cornfield is my last name, and so if you go to LinkedIn, I'm like the only Doug Cornfield until my son gets out of college and gets a LinkedIn profile, my junior. So Doug Cornfield's easy to follow me. Doug@d3day.com is my email. Don't spam me. Send me a nice non-AI message, and I'll respond usually. And go to my website, d3day.com. At D3Day for link or for Instagram. We just posted a bunch of videos from this weekend. And if that doesn't tell you what we do, if you have a few minutes to watch those, if you have a heart for what I do, reach out. We're seeking more revenue, more so we can just grow. I mean, that's really where we're at right now. And there's several things that are in play. Have written 2 books. One is called, because of the story I just told, A Pound of Kindness, in honor of Ernie Pound, who brought the little red fly our way. And then we have a Chicken Soup for the Soul like book that's called Pulling Each Other Along, that collects 31 stories of people mostly in the sports world, mostly in the disability world, sharing what pulled them along in their life's journeys.
Mm,
Awesome.
Love it.
Amazing. Yeah, you can best find me on LinkedIn, Sam Bragg, SAMBRAGG. There's quite a few of those on there. If you go to linkedin.com/in/Sam-Bragg, you'll find me on there. That's direct to my page. And I just wanted to leave with a little tip for people who may be on the fence about collaborating, not quite sure the best way to do it. I picked up a tip from well-known internet entrepreneur Alex Hormozy. He said that you should keep your give to ask ratio at 30-1, i.e., for every one thing that you ask for, you give 30 units away. So the first time I heard that, it sounded pretty radical, but I figured, what do I have to lose? And it basically helped me get started with the whole partnership journey and this whole collaboration journey. So 30-1 ratio, if everyone does that, then it's just the rising tide is just gonna lift all boats.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, this was wonderful. Thank you. You've all offered such wisdom and such good information for folks to help us change the world. We can change the world through collaboration, and you are each doing that every day. I can see from everything you've shared with us today. We want to thank our viewers, our listeners for joining us today on Collaboration Conversations, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.